In case you just joined us, this is News Check, and today we are looking at the school's unrest, and of course NACADA has come out guns blazing, talking about students as young as primary school kids being not only users and also peddlers. And I'm joined by Susan Maua, who is a drug prevention specialist, and she is in charge of the Department of Public Education and Advocacy. Perhaps back to our discussion. You did a survey that was released in 2019, and this has formed basis for our discussion today, that kids as young as primary going, not only are they using, but also some of them have become peddlers, and there are a number of factors that have brought about the situation in the country, and especially now that we have so many student unrest in schools, and especially this year. But before we do that, let's have the clip where, of course, NACADA gave the figures as they are right now.
Of unrest among learners, the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA, says drug abuse among school-going children is to blame for the menace. In a national survey carried out in June 2018 on the status of drugs and substance abuse among primary school pupils in Kenya, it emerged that 20.2% of primary school pupils have ever used at least one drug or substance of abuse in their lifetime. The survey shows 16.9% of primary school pupils are currently using at least one drug or substance of abuse. It further reveals that 3.2% of primary school pupils are currently using tobacco, 2.6% using alcohol, while 2.3% are currently using miraa. According to NACADA, the common sources of drug and substance of abuse mentioned by students include kiosks or shops near school, which compose 28.6%, bars near schools at 25.7%, friends at 19.3%, school workers at 13.6%, while 13.7% said they buy the drugs from their fellows. In a statement signed by the board chair, Professor Mabel Imbuga, NACADA called for a comprehensive collaborative approach to arrest the unwanted emerging trend of arrest in learning institutions.
That is a survey done by NACADA, and we would like to delve deeper into that to understand the situation, because as the situation is right now, it's not headed in the right direction. Perhaps you can touch on the NACADA report.
Yeah, thank you. So the NACADA report actually tells us what is it that is happening in the schools, and it's not just a report, but it is meant to raise the awareness and also come up with solutions. Yeah, so that we do not bury our heads in the sand and think that the school environment is entirely safe for the children. And so, you know, like during the COVID period, again, you know, parents were wondering when the schools will open. When will they open so that they get out of our way? But then you find that in the school environment, it is what happens at home that comes to the school environment, as shown by the study, because like I mentioned earlier, the initiation, a great percentage of initiation of drug use begins at home. The source of the drugs, other than from the vendors, food vendors and kiosks near schools, and from friends or those who, you know, could be bringing in so that they sell, you find that even parents contribute to that. Siblings are also contributors to even not just the initiation but continued use. Yeah, so that means that with that kind of knowledge, or with the statistics, it helps to inform what then can we do next. Yeah.
And from the report, I see there could be students that are not using the drugs but are peddling. This is a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, sure. If they're there, it's a ticking time bomb, and you know that this would be a hidden activity. Yeah, it would be a hidden activity, because the other thing that we also found out sometimes they could be going out of school and coming back.
Yes.
Maybe because they are sick, or it's an excuse to go out, you know, home for one reason or the other, and then that's an opportunity to sneak in something. When schools open, there is always inspection. But you see, there are also various ways of hiding this. You know, teachers are not investigators.
Yes.
So they can only do so much in terms of checking. So I remember from some of our engagements with the teachers, what we learned as they do, you know, teachers do inspection at the gate. Yeah. But there are other ways in which these drugs can come in. For example, in the books, you know, we like to tell students to cover their books very nicely, so the books will be covered well. But then between the cover and the top of the book, that is a space where, you know, if it is, for example, cannabis or even cigarettes can be put there. So there are many ways, and in one situation it was very interesting. A teacher shared that you are inspecting, but what the student has done is to keep the drug in the hand. So you see, I will be raising my hands up. You are checking, when in actual sense it is here.
It's right there.
It's right there. It's right there in plain sight. So again, it means that whereas it is good to do the inspections, and inspections are recommended, even by NACADA, inspections need to be done, but that is not all. There's a lot more that also needs to be done to be able to just address that, because, you know, a human being is such that when you say don't do this, it's like they've had the opposite. And especially Kenyans, if you say do not go and drink between this time and this time, it's like they've had, I need to get something, yes, so that I can use it, just to see what you will do. It happens even with the children. If you come up with rules, they also need to understand why the rules are there. Then they will also become part and parcel of addressing that. Because if there are students who are peddling, they know who they are. So how do you make it possible for them to be able to report? If it is in a punitive way, then nobody will report. But if you make it in a situation that they would also be able to report such kind of situations, then you're likely to see an improvement in terms of drugs coming into schools. But remember, we also have the food vendors, as the study has also shown, the kiosks that are next to schools.
Yes.
When you have co-curricular activities like music or sports, or you have many students gathering at one point, it also becomes an opportunity for peddlers to also bring in drugs. Because if you have, let's say, music festivals or any of those activities, you usually have people who come in to sell mahamri, juices. Those are actually the people who also bring in drugs. And that came from the survey. Remember, the respondents were students. So it means that they are actually telling you, these are the channels. So it means that if you're going to intervene, then you need to do something. So that take away the food vendors. If it is the canteen, the school canteen, they could be selling bread or they could be selling sweet, but there is a lot more they can also put in there. So it becomes important that even vetting of those who run the canteens and so on could also help to take out the drugs in the schools.
And still on the same, as we take a break, I remember there was a directive that all pubs or alcohol selling, either wines and spirits, that are 300 meters, they should be 300 meters from any learning institution, but we haven't witnessed that, and especially here in Nairobi. You see a school and a club, you see a school and a club. What happened to that directive?
Well, the directive is still there.
Did it help? Because 300 meters?
Oh, sure. You know, it wasn't just put there. It's actually something that should be enforced. Yeah, and I know we received reports also about such kind of situations. And I would also want to say that in addition to the findings which we shared with the Ministry of Education, we also came up with the ways of addressing this. And so it means that when the guidelines are enforced, sometimes, you know, the people responsible may not be aware. Yeah, they may not be aware. Because if a school, sometimes, you know, it is the school that is being put up where they are already drinking joints. So it means that probably it is the drinking outlets that should be raising the red flag that you cannot have a school next to this.
Yes.
Yeah. So that if a school, they also see that somebody is coming up with a drinking place or an alcohol selling place, then they should be able to raise the flag. But we have received some of those complaints, and I believe action is also taken on that.
Indeed.
Yeah.
This is News Check, and today we are looking at drug and substance abuse, and especially in schools, in the wake of schools unrest and violence that has not been witnessed for a while in the country. And of course, I would love your feedback. Remember, we are live on all our social media platform. I can see Nyakwar Oriko Nyangi, you're watching. Kevin Mutonu, you're watching from Bomet. Watching from Kendube is Onanda Mark Onanda. Oremanga Gideon, you're also following. So is Zianda Zibwa. And also Alex Juma. Keep them coming. You have a question, suggestion, or even a comment, kindly don't keep it, just send it so that we can be in tandem with this conversation. But for now, we are taking a short, quick break. We will get deeper into this to understand why we are having these cases and how we can be able to do away with drugs when it comes to our school-going children. Let's take that break.